Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. We are back on the record on 2025-240-WS, application of Kiowa Island, which our Chief Counsel will explain. We have had a request overnight for one person to speak virtually that did not attend the public hearing, and we're going to accommodate that. I apologize, it may take up a little time, but we're prepared to do that. Before we do, I'd point out that all commissioners are present in the hearing room. Ms. Wester-Hill, if you would explain today's hearing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chairman just mentioned, this is the hearing in 2025-243-WS, which concerns the application of Kiowa Island Utility, Inc. for approval of an adjustment in rates and charges and modifications to certain terms and conditions for the provisions of water and sewer service. Beginning this morning at 10 a.m. on February 5th, we're going to start with a virtual public hearing. All those who are signed up to testify or who will be appearing virtually, you will be called and sworn in, and I ask that you remember that this is a judicial proceeding. Therefore, just like if you were in the courthouse in your local county or either testifying there, or if you were a juror, you cannot ask the judges questions. The 7 commissioners before you are quasi-judicial, and therefore they are subject to the same responsibilities and code of ethics and conduct as any other judge. You will be called upon and given 3 minutes in order to make your presentation to provide information known to you with regard to Kiowa Island Utility. And you will be asked to verify that you are a customer and also where you reside without the street address. You will also be sworn in order to testify just like you would in a courtroom, verifying that you are providing the truth. Mr. Chairman, the docket is in order and ready to proceed.
Thank you very much. Before we take that witness, we have the parties please identify themselves for the record.
Charlie Trenny with Kiowa Island Utility. And
good morning, Nanette Edwards with the law firm Burr Foreman on behalf of Kiowa Island Utilities. Thank you.
Welcome and thank you for being here. Department of Consumer Affairs.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm Roger Hall. With me today is Jake Edwards on behalf of the Department.
Thank you. And Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name is Chad Torrey. I'm joined by Mr. Tom Philopoulos on behalf of ORS. Thank you.
All right. Are there any attorneys online or appearing virtually today? Hearing none. Ms. Boyd, I'm going to ask you if you would take care of or go ahead and proceed with Mr. Powelson's testimony.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Powelson. Are you there?
I am. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. Mr. Powelson, do you affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please provide the Commission with your name.
Robert Powelson.
What is the name of the street where you reside? Do not include the house number, please.
Forest Drive, Kiowa Island.
Thank you. You may now proceed to begin your testimony, for which you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Thank you for allowing me as a consumer, a ratepayer of Kiowa Island Utilities to share with you my experience. My family and I have enjoyed a property in Kiowa for about a decade now. And obviously, we've seen the expansive growth of Kiowa Island. It's a remarkable place. And I think part of that fabric of the community starts with having good utility infrastructure, managing growth, and being able to provide sustainable water infrastructure investment. My family and I spent over 70 days in Kiowa during the COVID pandemic, and I was proud of the fact that, being on an island and realizing that we took a lot of things for granted, and that was safety, reliability, and good water service. And Kiowa Island Utility has done that remarkably well without any interruptions of service. I think it's also important to note that if you look at the records, the water quality records of this utility, they meet and exceed federal standards, which give us all peace of mind that this company is investing for the future and making sure that the residents, I'm proud to be one, it is providing safe, reliable, affordable service to customers. I take this opportunity to thank the chairman and the commission for holding this proceeding, and that concludes my comments in support of the docket here today.
Okay, Mr. Powelson, please remain on the phone. There may be questions from the parties or the commissioners.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd, and thank you, Mr. Powelson. Any questions from the company?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Department of Consumer Affairs,
No questions. Thank you.
ORS.
No questions.
Any commissioner questions? All right, hearing none, Mr. Powelson, thank you very much for your input. It is now part of the record, and we will proceed with our hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good hearing today.
It's my understanding that there's one thing we need to take up before we get into an actual hearing.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. If I may have a moment, I'd like to address the commission regarding the settlement agreement that the parties have entered into.
As you wish.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and Commissioners again. On January 30th, 2026, ORS filed in this matter a settlement agreement for the Commission's consideration. The settlement agreement is between Kiowa Island Utility, Inc., the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs, and ORS, all of the parties in this case. The settlement agreement is comprehensive in that it resolves all issues between the parties. Mr. Chair, if I may, I would ask that the settlement agreement that has been filed in this matter be marked for identification and entered into the record as, I believe, the first hearing exhibit.
It will be the second hearing exhibit. We have the transcript or the sign-in sheet from the hearing that we had earlier.
Thank you, sir.
That's number one. So it'll be exhibit number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any comments from you, Mr. Torini, or Consumer Affairs before we start?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say that the customers of Kiowa Island Utility were well represented in this proceeding by both the Office of Regulatory Staff and the Department of Consumer Affairs. This was a tough case for us to settle, but we believe we arrived at a fair settlement, and we urge the Commission to adopt it, and also would like to thank ORS and DCA for their efforts to reach a reasonable compromise.
Thank you. Well, and I would say they're well represented by your co-counsel too, as well. All right. Well, we ORS, anything you wanted to add?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, if I may, I can just reiterate what Mr. Torini said. ORS appreciates the company's work in this case, as well as DCA, and the parties believe, ORS believes that the settlement agreement before you is in the public interest, and we ask that you approve it. Thank you.
All right, and we also, the sign-in sheet for this morning for the witness that we just heard from, that's going to be put into evidence as exhibit number 3. Any comment from Department of Consumer Affairs?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just echo what fellow co-counsel have said. We appreciate everyone's efforts in reaching this settlement, and we do think it's in the consumer interest and ask the Commission to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate everyone's hard work on this. Mr. Torini, you have a witness to present. All right, thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I'm going to add just one more procedural issue. Our witness, we have one witness in this matter, Mr. Rothschild, as a potential conflict this afternoon. I've spoken to counsel for Kiowa and ORS who've been gracious in letting him go out of order potentially if needed. We're going to let this first panel proceed and maybe just see how time goes. Just give a heads up, as long as the commission was okay with that, we may ask to have him go out of
Okay.
order. Thank you.
Let me know.
Good morning. With that, if it pleases the chair and the commission, we'll call our first panel. At this time, we would call Craig Sorensen, Becky Dennis, and Dante DeStefano to the stand.
If you would each please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Chairman Powers, there was a request about moving in all of the direct testimony all at one time. So for purposes of this panel, what I was planning on doing is presenting Mr. Sorensen and his settlement testimony first. And then I don't know if you want to procedurally move all of the pre-filed direct testimony that was identified as part of the settlement agreement at one time after the panel. But I defer to your pleasure as to how you want to approach this.
Okay. Either way is fine. We'll have to go through them individually, list them out as far as exhibits and everything.
Okay.
Just however easier for you to proceed.
And I know they need to be sworn in. Oh, you got it. All right. Well, Mr. Sorensen, please state your name and business address for the record.
My name is Craig Sorensen, and I'm business address of 7 Technology Circle, Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I am the Senior Vice President of Nexus Water Group and in charge of the Atlantic Coast Utilities Business Division of that company, which is the state of South Carolina.
Okay. And did you prepare or cause to be prepared 8 pages of settlement testimony that was pre-filed in this docket?
I did.
Okay. And do you have any changes, corrections, deletions to that pre-filed settlement testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
They would.
Okay. Did you have any exhibits attached to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
I believe I did. Right? No, did not. Did not. Sorry, that was different testimony.
Okay. Have you prepared a summary of your settlement testimony?
I have.
Please provide it at that time.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission. My name is Craig Sorensen. I am the Senior Vice President of Nexus Water Group and have overall responsibility for Nexus's Atlantic Coast Utilities Business Unit, which consists today of all our operations in South Carolina. I'm also President of South Carolina Water Utilities and Kiowa Island Utility, among other South Carolina operating entities. I'm testifying in support of the comprehensive settlement agreement reached in this docket by the parties. Collectively, the parties have 15 witnesses, of which 8 are outside experts. The parties agree that the settlement agreement's terms are reasonable and in the public interest, but they will not be bound by its terms in subsequent cases where they may advance different positions. The settlement agreement is in the public interest in that it resolves several real complicated issues, limits rate case expenses, and establishes reasonable rates for water and wastewater service, whereby the annual increase is 1% or less since the last change in base rates for water service, and the annual increase for sewer service is 4.23% or less since the last change in base rates for sewer service. I want to thank all the parties for working with us to reach this settlement. The settlement required compromise from all parties, and as such, I respectfully request that the Commission approve the settlement agreement as a whole. KIU must have the opportunity to earn a competitive return on equity in order to attract the capital necessary to ensure adequate service and continued system maintenance and improvements. The settlement agreement provides for an allowed return on equity of 9.30% with a capital structure of 49.47% equity and 50.53% long-term debt at an embedded cost of 4.65%. An ROE of 9.3% moves KIU into the range of the most recent ROEs approved for other operating affiliates in other jurisdictions. The agreed upon rates generate an annual base revenue increase equaling $1,005 or approximately 7.33% to be effective on this Commission's order. Importantly, ORS and KIU have agreed to work together to manage rate case expenses during the remainder of this case. Under the terms of the settlement agreement, KIU's recovery of rate case expenses will be limited to $1 million in actual and prudently incurred expenses as verified by ORS. This amount may only be exceeded if the cost of ORS's outside expert witnesses exceed the initial contract estimates provided to KIU, which we do not anticipate. Pursuant to the terms of the settlement agreement, rate case expenses will be amortized over 3 years. The parties have agreed for purposes of settlement to the rates and cost allocations in Addendum A to the settlement agreement. With this case, we will have taken a considerable step towards uniform rates as residential water customers will have the same monthly base facilities charge by meter size. Please recognize that KIU purchases wholesale water from the St. John's Water Company, while CUC and Harbor Island systems purchase water from the Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority at different rates. For each of the systems, the percentage of annual increase since the last change in base rates is around 1% or less. Our wastewater service customers will have rates that vary because the legacy systems had different rate schedules coming into the case, and at the time of their last increase, it varies widely. Also, 3 of the systems, Kiowa Island Utility, CUC, and Harbor Island, are billed volumetrically according to water consumption. The TJ Barnwell system customers, on the other hand, are wastewater service only and are billed on a flat rate. Their last rate increase was in 2016. While the KIU system has the highest rate of annual increase at 4.23%, other systems have a less than 2% rate of annual increase since their last change in base rates. There are several matters that we'll be working on with ORS. We've agreed to meet to discuss ways to limit rate case expenses in future proceedings. Some of the issues we'll explore include evaluating the various studies conducted by outside experts in connection with rate cases, as well as streamlining the discovery process. Finally, other matters such as cash working capital and proposed tariff language regarding limited liability may be addressed in other proceedings. I want to emphasize that a contested hearing would cause a dramatic increase in rate case expenses, which are ultimately borne by the customer, and the outcome would remain uncertain for all involved. This settlement avoids the costly litigation and provides an outcome that is acceptable to all the parties. Therefore, I urge the Commission to approve the settlement agreement as it is consistent with the public interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, Mr. Chairman, what I would propose to do is move the direct testimony, starting with Mr. Sorensen, into the record. I wasn't going to go through the normal questions of, I was just going to, since we've stipulated,
That's
just
fine.
move in. Okay.
Unless there's an objection from any party. No.
Mr. Sorensen's direct testimony consisted of 15 pages, and I'm referring to the corrected pre-filed testimony. And he had 3 exhibits, CS1 through 3. So I would just ask that his direct testimony, as corrected and filed with the Commission, consisting of 15 pages, that it be admitted into the record as though read.
Okay. And he had rebuttal and settlement testimony as well.
Yes, sir. As part of the settlement agreement, we have agreed not all the parties as part of our agreement to the settlement agreement, we are not moving in the rebuttal testimony.
Okay. All right, then we will move in the direct and settlement testimony. Mr. Craig Sorensen will be placed in the records as if given orally from the stand. The exhibits CS 1 through 3 will be entered in the record as exhibit number 4.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeStefano, sorry about that. We pre-filed testimony consisting of 12 pages, and I would ask that that be admitted into the record as though read from the stand.
All right, the direct testimony of Mr. DeStefano will be moved into the records and entered in the records if given orally from the stand.
Now, in his case, there were 2 confidential exhibits, DMD1 and DMD2. So we would ask for that they be entered into the record, but given confidential treatment.
All right. The pre-filed exhibits of witness DeStefano will be entered into the record, identified and placed in the record as exhibit number 5. This is a confidential version that shall remain confidential unless or until the commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Yeah. He had one other exhibit, which is a public exhibit, DMD-3, and at this time we would ask that it be marked and into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
The exhibit known of witness DeStefano, identified as DMD-3, is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 6.
Okay, thank you, sir. With that, I will turn to Ms. Dennis. Ms. Dennis, we pre-filed testimony consisting of 21 pages, and I would ask that that be admitted to the record as though read from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Dennis will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Okay. And Ms. Dennis had exhibits BD1 through BD9, and I would ask that that be the next marked and identified and entered into the record as the next composite hearing exhibit.
The pre-filed exhibits of witness Becky Dennis, identified as BD1 through 9, are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 7.
I can go through the remainder of our witnesses, or
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay. We have Mr. Blessing, David Blessing, 46 pages of pre-filed direct testimony.
All right.
And I would ask, oh, you go ahead.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Blessing, will be entered in the records as given orally from the stand.
And he had exhibits DCB 1 through 11. I would ask that those be the next composite hearing exhibit, marked and identified and entered into the record.
The exhibits of Mr. Blessing, identified as DCB 1 through 11, are marked for identification and placed in record as exhibit number 8.
Mr. Burkett, pre-filed direct testimony consisting of 7 pages with no exhibits, and would just ask that he...
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Burkett, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
Okay. Mr. Ian McDougall, pre-filed direct testimony consisting of 6 pages, and so we would ask that it be admitted as though read from the stand.
All right. The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. McDougall will be entered in the record as given orally from the stand.
He had 2 exhibits, IMM1 and IMM2. We would ask that that be marked and identified.
Right. The 2 exhibits identified as IMS 1 and 2 we enter the record as exhibit number 9.
Cynthia Menhorn, pre-filed direct testimony consisting of 39 pages, and would ask that that be entered into the record as though read from the stand.
All right. The pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Menhorn will be entered the record as if given orally from the stand.
She had exhibits CAM1 through 8. We would ask that that be marked, entered into the record as the next composite hearing
The
exhibit.
pre-filed exhibits of Ms. Menhorn identified as DAM 1 through 8, marked for identification and placed in the records exhibit number 10.
And finally, our last one, Mr. Spanos, pre-filed direct testimony consisting of 18 pages.
All right. The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Spanos was entered in the records as if given orally from the stand.
And I'm not sure how you want to treat this. He had an Appendix A in addition to exhibits JJS 1 and 2. We did not separately label Appendix A as an exhibit, but it is an attachment to his testimony. I think I would move that we have Appendix A and
Okay.
JJS and 1 and 2 as the next composite hearing exhibit.
That's not a problem. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Spanos identified as JJS 1 and 2 with the appendix are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 11.
That was a bit. At this time, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, our panel is available for questions, and thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the Department of Consumer Affairs?
No questions.
Office of Regulatory Staff? No questions. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. Good morning. Just a couple of questions. So, with regards to the cash working capital generic proceeding that's been mentioned, is that something that's related to the companies involved in this case, or is it bigger than that? Companies generally that file before us.
We really haven't gone and organized anything yet, but I think there's interest from several entities that may be interested in providing comments on cash working capital, but really we haven't pursued anything beyond the concept at this point.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So this morning we had the customer call in from Kiowa, made some nice comments, and was talking about the service that you provide. And so basically the settled ROE is 9.3%. And I just want to make sure that you feel like that is satisfactory and reasonable and will enable the company to continue to invest in its system.
Thank you for that question. Yes, it is part of the comprehensive settlement that we reached. Would I like to have something, greater? Certainly, but we did reach a comprehensive settlement that is fair to all parties, and we are satisfied and believe it will allow us to continue to invest and provide excellent service as we expect ourselves to do.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Belser?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for being here. I want to talk a little bit about the request of the utility and the provision in the settlement agreement about the consolidated annual report, if we could. I think it was back in June that the commission approved I think it was a merger and partial consolidation. Is that correct? Tell me the resulting. I mean, is the resulting utility Kiowa, or are they still separate utilities being operated?
So our intent would be to file one report that would be inclusive of all the different affiliates, the different systems rolling up into it.
But it's CUC, Harbor Island, TJ Barnwell. Are they still considered separate utilities?
No, they are considered
Okay.
one utility.
Okay, so they've given up their certificates, and everybody is now under KIU. Is that correct?
It's funny you bring that up today, because just this morning we realized that as we're going to renew bonds and such, that we'll be requesting a letter from this commission to allow the release of those bonds. Okay. So anyway, that'll be coming soon.
It wasn't the bonds that got me on this thought, but but are you still maintaining separate books for each? what do we call them? Are they an operating entity, a subsidiary, or is it just all KIU? That's what I'm not sure about.
Yeah, we're calling them systems.
Okay.
And yes, we do have separate records and cost centers and codes for the different systems, but we'd like to file one annual report that is the whole of all the systems in the entity.
But there will be backup should ORS ever need to see it
Yes.
for the individual systems. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Right. To the extent there's direct cost for those systems, we record it to those systems.
Okay. All right. That helps. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bell, Commissioner Castle.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I was glad she asked that too. I was beginning to wonder if there were Cayman Islands involved somewhere. But thanks for clearing that up. Just so I make sure I understand on where you talk about in your settlement testimony. Wait a minute. Most recent rate case increase at a different time. You talk about KIU in 2022, CUC in 2020, and HIU in 2017. And for each of the systems, the percentage of annual increase since the last change in base rates is around 1% or less. I think I follow that, but I want to make sure I follow that. The KIU, I'm assuming it's been 3 years since last rate case, 5 years for CUC, and 8 years. And if I take the, I guess the percent difference, that total, for example, in I think schedule number 1, you have 4.09%, and going through those. If I look at that linearly and say take 4.09% divided by 3 years, I come up with 1.36%. Next one would be 4.65% divided by 5 years, 0.95%. Am I looking at that right, or how did you do that? How did you come up with that?
I think that's the general approach to it, and it was probably 23, 24, 25, now 26 by the time rates come in. So there's the 4 years, but that's the general concept is that if you look at the overall, if you look at the increase, and then well, how long has it been since you came in and got new rates? Then you can divide it out over that time, and that's just the annualized increase, because that's how people think. You know, people think in a CPI, people think in a cost of living adjustment, going up, 2-3% every year, and well, how do we compare to that? And so we compare to that. That was the attempt that we made to kind of meet that thought process of the customer and of others that may have, and we've done that on the existing operations at the same time as we're investing new capital as well. So that percentage increase is not just a CPI compared to directly apples to apples against the CPI, because we are investing new capital along the way. But yes, thank you.
Good enough. Finally, understood you to say, and in your settlement testimony, well, what you said earlier was you were working with ORS, I guess, to help hold down rate case expenses, which I think is a wonderful thing. Has that already started? Is that going to be soon, or is that going to be something, well, we'll think about that later.
It's yeah, and that's a very valid point, especially given the magnitude of rate case expenses for this case. And I'll say that as we were going through the process, ORS leadership and I had open discussions about how can we limit this, how can we be more effective, what can we do to keep these costs down, because as you see, they are significant costs, and not just costs, it's time and effort, and it was an ordeal to go through, and I think we've spoken to the complications and how really complicated this case is. So we spent a lot of time on that, and ORS, with the company in particular, did spend time in this case, talking about ways we could limit rate case expenses. How can we tamp this down? Because if you look, the vast majority, and I don't have it top of mind, but I'm gonna say it's in the ballpark of 3/4 of the rate case expenses are from outside experts, doing studies and responsive testimony and those sorts of things. So it's a large volume of the expense that are coming in from outside experts that are not just our attorneys or ORS attorney. It's these other things. And so how can we limit that? And then how can we limit discovery, and not limit discovery, but how can we streamline it and make sure that it's an efficient process along the way, so that ORS and the DCA get the information that they need and do so in an efficient manner that doesn't cause these outside experts to do a lot of churning and run the bill as they churn. So we're working on those things today.
Good, because it did not go unnoticed.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And is it safe to assume that generally the stuff requested, or the things needed to review, other than maybe the numbers or some things may change, the general items are reasonably consistent, aren't they? The things you want to look at?
As far as, you mean like the baseline kind of information, I guess, that would be needed to review in a rate case? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so there's definitely I think we talked about it as a company, as there's kind of a baseline level of expectation as far as what's needed to process a rate case, baseline level of support, legal support that we would need, and maybe experts that might be needed based on requirements for any rate case. So it's just a matter of, is there ways to make the process more efficient between the questions coming in, informal interactions or touch points we have to kind of clarify responses, or fill holes in the information if something doesn't make sense, or they can't tick and tie things, or whatever it might be. So we just want to make sure that process is supported the best it can be, so that they can have the best supported position on their end, the other parties, and we've answered other questions, and we avoid miscommunications or misunderstandings, things like that.
Good luck and Godspeed. Look forward to many positive developments.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have no more questions.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Commissioner Caston. I'm following up on that. Could a lot of this testimony, or rather the information that's been developed, be used in the future, or is it so dated it would have to be reproduced?
Might depend a little bit on the topic. I mean, I think oftentimes, in my experience, things like a depreciation study, you don't necessarily have to do every single case. Usually when you set it, it can be fairly stable for several cases going forward. It depends on a lot of other factors potentially. Things like cost of service and rate design can be, there was a lot of effort here because we were consolidating these entities. They were coming off of 4 different tariffs, and so there was a lot to sort out there basically in this case. So there was some value to have those analyses in this case and have some expertise involved. But in future cases, that expertise might not be as necessary. So that's something we try to evaluate every single case, just to see what's really necessary, what's needed to support our request or to support the process the best it can be. So the interactions with ORS and other parties will be valuable there, I guess, so we can plan in the right direction, I guess, case to case going forward.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mine is more of a big picture kind of question, and I'm thinking about it from the perspective of Nexus Water Group and then Kiowa, and how that relates to economies of scale, just generally wanting to understand that, and cost allocation. Okay. And anybody, I see a shaking of head over here, and
So I mean, I can speak to that to some degree. So as far as the Nexus perspective and kind of the corporate structure there, all the entities, the legacy entities in this case that are all part of Kiowa now, we're all part of the Southwest Water Company that merged with the Corix entities to make Nexus. So in that sense, there wasn't a whole lot changing on that kind of hierarchy, so to speak, from kind of a direct process like Craig was already Mr. Sorensen was already the president there and things like that. So a lot of the leadership didn't change, or there wasn't a lot of overlap of Coric systems and Kiowa systems or anything like that operationally. So I think locally, regionally, there was very little change. That's my perspective of it for Nexus. From a corporate perspective, you know, the support services groups and things like that, there was a merging of that activity, and that's still kind of, that integration still kind of going on, but a lot of that changed pretty immediately as far as the corporate leadership and the back office teams and systems and things. We're still merging all of those things. So it's an ongoing process as far as that integration effort. But what we tried to do in this case was try to incorporate everything we could as far as what was known at the time we were filing the case, all the changes that had been materialized or implemented, and tried to capture those as best we could in this case with the information we had available.
And generally, what is there any impact in terms of economies of scale and how that became relevant in the cost allocation?
I think there is some to that, and I think some of that again comes back to the integration of the Nexus support service groups and integrating the legacy Corics, the legacy Southwest support service groups. That's where a lot of integration can definitely happen, especially as we move, you know, consolidate our systems together. So there's less maintenance costs, maybe less IT costs, and I've identified some of that in my direct testimony as far as where we've already been able to, you know, generate some of those benefits, and we try to make sure that those benefits flow through in the revenue requirement in this case.
Okay.
And then from an operational perspective, you know, these systems have already been, you know, managed and operated under Ms. Dennis for, you know, since they've come into the fold. So from an operational perspective, we've been looking for those efficiencies along the way. You know, where we've been able to cover multiple systems with, you know, maintenance, or do we have to hire one position at this one system, or can we leverage strength in other areas? And we've looked to utilize those strengths where we can.
So tell me if this is accurate or not. From the historic test year perspective, you may have already achieved those efficiencies.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Yes, and in my direct testimony, for example, we supported with the construction projects in the Low Country at Harbor Island in particular, TJ Barnwell, where we did major project upgrades with internal resources, saving a lot of money for the customer. Yeah, really proud of those efforts to keep those costs down.
Ms. Dennis, I don't want to leave you out. So if you want an opportunity to share anything?
That's all right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any further commissioner questions? Any redirect, Ms. Edwards?
Yeah. No, thank you.
All right. Mr. Hall, are you watching the clock as far as when you need to put your witness up?
Excuse me. Yes, Mr. Chair. I think we're fine to finish off. The commission has questions for other Kiowa witnesses.
All right. Ms. Edwards, you finished with this?
Yes, sorry. At this time, and I know I'm going to ask this at my peril, but if we may have the witnesses excused for this panel.
Certainly at their own risk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, we do have several virtual witnesses that we have holding in place. We did not know if you wanted to follow for each one, or if there's certain witnesses that you are interested in hearing from. The only, and we're good on time, I do have one, Mr. Spanos. I either need to kind of take him early or take him a little bit later. He has an issue between 11 and 11:45, but we can take him out of order however you would like to do so.
Let's go ahead and take him then.
Okay. All right.
We should be close.
All right. If Mr. Spanos is available online. Yes.
Mr. Spanos, are you there? I think
we
you're
can-
muted. I can't hear you. Mr. Spanish, can you unmute your computer? There you go. Could you speak up now? Let's see if I think I got you now. No, can't hear you.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take allow Mr. Spanos a little more time, and we'll take him after 11:45 if that would be okay.
That's fine.
Okay, so we will go to our next. I believe on the witness list we had as Mr. Burkett, Donald Burkett. That would be our next witness that we would call.
Mr. Burkett, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, we can't see you. There you go. Would you please raise your right hand? You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, your witness.
Yes. At this time, we have already moved his testimony in. We did dispensing with any summaries. He's available for any questions that the commission may have.
All right. Any questions from the Department of Consumer Affairs? Office of Regulatory Staff? Commissioners? All right. He gets off easy.
Well, he did get off very easy, didn't he? We will go. With Mr. Chairman, at my co-counsel's suggestion, would it be? Do you want me to continue to walk through each one, or is there ones that in particular that you would like? They're all available virtually, other than Mr. Spanos at the moment. Would you just prefer to call which witness that you have questions for? We don't have any summaries prepared for any of the virtual witnesses.
All right. Let me then I'll just go down the names and see if any commissioners have questions. Neither the parties would have questions at this time, or do you expect?
That's correct. We've agreed that there will not be any cross or questions.
All right, Mr. Blessing. Are you there, Mr. Blessing?
I'm here.
All right. We're going to take a 5-minute break and look at how to proceed with this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
We're in recess. We are back on the record on docket number 2025-243-WS. Ms. Edwards, I have individually conferred with fellow commissioners. We would have no questions, and I think we'd be able to move directly to Mr. Rothschild unless you have anything else to add.
No, not at this time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would you like to go ahead and stipulate Mr. Rothschild in first?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Rothschild prepared 44 pages of direct testimony for this docket. These included Appendix A through D, and it was filed on October 6th, 2025. He had no exhibits. I would like to ask that that be entered into the record as if given from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Rothschild will be entered the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. And Mr. Rothschild should be available for commission questions.
All right. Mr. Rothschild, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. You're a witness. Yeah. Any questions from either party? Any questions from Kiowa? Any commissioner questions? Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you. Mr. Rothschild, good to see you.
Likewise.
And basically, I just wanted to ask from your perspective, the settlement agreement and the 9.3% ROE, do you think that's fair and reasonable for the customers of the company?
Well, in general, I understand settlement agreements involve a bunch of different compromises and other issues. In general, I think the 9.3 within a larger context is reasonable. I hope that my testimony stands on its own in terms of providing the objective financial information that the commission can use to make decisions, and where I talk about the cost of equity for the overall market and the ranges. So that's my how I see that.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further commissioner questions? Hearing none. Mr. Rothschild, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you rest your case on that, Mr. Edwards? Anything further?
Yes, sir. And at my own peril, may Mr. Rothschild be excused.
Well, he's pretty much out of reach anyway. All right, ORS.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If it pleases the chair, I was just going to go ahead and go through the testimony, all of the testimony stipulated, and then we'll have the panels up here for questioning.
Okay.
So first, we have Mr. Alan Mirzad. He had direct testimony consisting of 44 pages, filed in both public disclosure and confidential versions. He had 10 exhibits to his direct testimony, marked as Exhibit AHM1 through Exhibit AHM10, and Exhibit AHM10 was also filed in public disclosure and confidential versions. I would ask that the confidential version of his direct testimony, as well as Exhibit AHM10, remain under seal with the Commission.
All right. The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Mirzad will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The exhibits, pre-filed exhibits identified as AHM 1 through 10 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 12. The confidential versions of both the testimony and the exhibits shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Courtney D. Radley. Ms. Radley filed direct testimony consisting of 27 pages, and she had 6 exhibits to her direct testimony marked as Exhibit CDR1 through Exhibit CDR6.
All right, the pre-filed direct testimony, Ms. Radley, will be entered the records if given orally from the stand. The exhibits identified as CDR 1 through 6 of Ms. Radley are marked for identification and placed in the records as exhibit number 13.
Thank you. Next, we had Dustin M.J. Madsen. Mr. Madsen had direct testimony consisting of 52 pages filed in both public disclosure and confidential versions. He had 4 exhibits to his direct testimony marked as Exhibit DMM1 through Exhibit DMM4. I would ask that the confidential version of the direct testimony remain under seal with the Commission.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Madsen will be entered the records if given orally from the stand. The confidential version of that testimony shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Madsen identified as DMM 1 through 4 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 14.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, we have David J. Garrett. Mr. Garrett had direct testimony consisting of 55 pages, along with 5 appendices to his direct testimony marked as Appendix A through Appendix E. Mr. Garrett also had 18 exhibits to his direct testimony marked as Exhibit DJG1 through Exhibit DJG18.
All right, the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Garrett will be entered in the records as given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibit appendix of Mr. Garrett identified as Appendix A through E, and the exhibits identified as DJG 1 through 18 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 15.
Thank you. Next, we have C. Amanda Buckaloo. Ms. Buckaloo had direct testimony consisting of 17 pages filed in both public disclosure and confidential versions. I'd ask that the confidential version of Ms. Buckaloo's direct testimony remain under seal.
All right, the pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Buckley will be entered into the records if given orally from the stand. The confidential version of her testimony shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And finally, we have Anthony D. Brzezino. Mr. Brzezino had direct testimony consisting of 36 pages.
All right, the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Brzezino will be entered in the records if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all the testimony. ORS would call the panel of Alan Merzad and Courtney D. Bradley.
All right, come forward.
And Mr. Chair, if at the chair's pleasure, before they get sworn in, if I may just make one comment, I just want to reiterate ORS's appreciation for KIU in this case and the hard work that we know that its staff put in. Just wanted to note that. Thank you, sir.
If you would both please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Chair, their testimony has been stipulated into the records. They are open for questions.
All right, any questions from Kiowa?
No questions, thank you.
Department of Consumer Affairs. No questions. Commissioners. Commissioner Castle.
Thank you. Just, I guess, for my edification, relative to the rate case expenses and the discussions that are going to be had, would that be with you guys or someone else, or you and someone else?
Could you please clarify, do you mean me individually or me as ORS?
Either one of you, and anyone else that may be in the building. I mean, I guess it was rather generic, and I guess I don't necessarily need names, but I don't know if they're going to do it with Mr. Bateman. But would you, either of you, be involved with those discussions?
I believe that, yes, someone from the audit department would likely be involved in some of those discussions. Sometimes it's difficult to transfer from a spreadsheet into words what you're trying to ask, and it's just a lot easier to sit on a call with a company and discuss a specific spreadsheet, share screens, that sort of thing. And it's just a lot more efficient use of everyone's time than trying to move math into words and then words into math. That just gets confusing. And so I'm sure someone from audit would be on a call to discuss those issues, to discuss how the company could present information to us, or that we could ask our questions in a more efficient way so that we're all not talking past each other and just getting the information from one party to the other in an efficient manner to reduce rate case expenses.
Thank you. You handled that well. Appreciate it. No more questions.
Commissioner Belson.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Ms. Radley, did the new minimum filing requirements help ORS as they progressed through or receiving the application and then starting into the audit, so to speak?
The minimum filing requirements are minimum filing requirements, and ORS takes a much deeper dive beyond just what is there. So our data requests still are a lot more extensive.
But did it help getting started, I reckon, than what had
Yes.
I'm not sure how long you've been at ORS.
I've been at ORS a little over 3 years. Okay. But it is a good starting place to be able to see all the items that are filed along with the company's application for a rate increase. And so we can get started from there. We can start our initial round of data requests to support that information and that sort of thing.
And could you just briefly explain how ORS progresses through discovery with like maybe an initial round, and then if there's a second round, why is that happening? The follow-ups. Could you explain to the commission that process just briefly?
Sure. So we generally have an initial request that is quite large. Sometimes that is actually the first request. Sometimes it's the second, just depending on kind of if there were other questions, preliminary questions that had to be asked. It's usually quite large, asking for a lot of underlying supporting documentation that we know we will need. For example, we always know that we're going to need support to tie to the books of the company. And so to tie to the per book section of the application, we will always need trial balance or general ledgers or some type of support. So it's kind of a generic question that we know we'll need. As we get those initial requests in and we start to review the information, we might have either follow-up questions if something either didn't tie back and forth, or the company, we wanted more detail, so maybe we have a follow-up. We also might receive, for example, a spreadsheet in the first, second requests earlier on that then we need the supporting documentation for that spreadsheet. And so we'll ask for further documentation and a follow-up request and that sort of thing. And so it's just kind of progressing. And obviously, when we get the first initial big request, that has a lot of information. It takes us a while to work through it. So we might not get our follow-up question onto the second request, let's say, because that one goes out and then you're working through continuing. So third, fourth, and so on.
And as I understand it, does ORS still use sampling of different expense categories?
Yes, we do still sample.
Okay. And if the sampling maybe doesn't satisfy, or maybe there's an anomaly in there, does that necessitate the need for further discovery request or discussions with the utility?
Sometimes it does, yes.
Okay. And at what point is ORS satisfied? Is there?
ORS is satisfied when we get down to like a supporting piece of documentation. If you take 5 documents and you compile them together into a spreadsheet, and we initially received the spreadsheet, well, we're trying to get down to the underlying true support for those items, whether that may be like an invoice, for example, or that sort of thing, from at least from an audit perspective.
And that's where the sampling comes in. You go through and you pick out certain line items from the spreadsheet and say, please provide the supporting documentation for these things.
Yes, ma'am,
these
that's
items.
correct.
Okay.
And ORS is not recreating the company's books and records or any of that, and that's why we use sampling, because it allows us to audit a handful of selections, review those selections, see that they tie to invoices, see that the dollar amount is correct, that's for a stated business purpose, that's applicable to the utility, and those sorts of things.
And I mean, typically, Kiowa's, especially with everything, they're probably on the larger side of the utilities that we regulated. Would that be a fair statement?
For water and wastewater.
Okay. Thank you. For water and wastewater. There's no way to go through every line item. Is that correct?
No, that would.
So that's why
be
you use the
impossible.
sampling.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes the sampling suffices your inquiry at the beginning, and sometimes you have to dig deeper. Is that
Yes,
a fair
that's correct.
statement? Okay. And there's no way to predict. Yes, we're going to be able to get all the information we need on the first data request versus no, it's going to take 2 or 3.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you and good morning. So basically, I was just wondering if either of you have any comments to add to the cash working capital study that's in the settlement agreement from the perspective of ORS.
Mr. Brazino will be able to answer those questions on a later panel.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, panel. Hope all is well. Just a really quick question, Ms. Radley. When you talk about the audit process, it makes me think about a commercial I used to watch when I was a kid. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? I Googled that while you were testifying, and it says, AI tells me 144 to over 400 licks, which is a wide range. And so my question to you is this: is there any thought put into what ORS is asking the company for as it relates to how expensive it may be for them to produce that information? The rate case expense is something that we talked about with the company's panel, and I'm sure depending on how deep of a dive you all are doing, the cost may vary to produce that information. Is that something that you all consider, or you just simply focus on the information?
Yes, we are always taking into account the rate case expenses as well.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. My one question is, because of all these questions about expenses, what, if anything, was learned from this case in dealing with this company and other similar companies in the future as far as discovery? Was anything, we've heard the word streamlined used by several witnesses. Can you explain how that would happen, or if there's something was learned that could make it streamlined?
I think one item that is in the settlement agreement in this case is that I believe in the next rate case that Kiowa files, will have regularly scheduled meetings with the company. And that's again for items where either if they have questions for us on what we asked, or we're trying to explain to them what the words say versus what we're trying to actually get, so that we're not talking past each other. They can provide us one answer. We don't need a supplemental response, perhaps. If we can streamline those items to just make the process more efficient for everyone. If it's easier to jump on a call and explain a spreadsheet and what is trying to take place in that spreadsheet and what these calculations are doing, if that's just a more efficient use of time for everyone involved.
And these regular reports and having conversations and staying in touch will benefit and be more efficient, do you think?
Yes, I think it will be more efficient.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Any further commissioner questions? Any redirect?
No redirect, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
I
Step down.
ask that this panel be allowed to stand down.
You're allowed to stand down. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the next witness we have is Dustin M.J. Madsen, who will be appearing virtually.
All right. Mr. Madsen, good to see you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Madsen's testimony and exhibits have been stipulated into the record. He is available for questions.
All right. Any questions from Kiowa?
No questions.
Department of Consumer Affairs?
No question.
Commissioners? There apparently are no questions.
Okay, thank you. I'd like ask that he be allowed to stand down.
Certainly.
Mr. Chair, our next witness is also appearing virtually. Should the commission like to hear from him, his name is David J. Garrett.
All right. Mr. Garrett, are you there?
Yes.
All right. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Garrett's testimony and exhibits have been stipulated into the record. He's available for questions.
All right. Any questions from either party?
No. No, thank you.
See, hearing none. Any questions from commissioners? There are none.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd ask that he be allowed to stand down.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, finally, we have a panel of in-person witnesses. We call C. Amanda Buckaloo and Anthony D. Brzino to the stand.
All right.
If you'd both please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, again, the pre-filed testimony and exhibits of Mr. Brzino and Ms. Buckaloo have been stipulated into the record. They are available for questions.
All right. Any questions from either party?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning.
So, Mr. Brzino, you were named earlier as being able to potentially give a little bit more information about the thoughts in connection with the cash working capital generic docket, and just wanted to hear what you might have to say.
I think the settlement agreement outlines that we will work with Kiowa to try to establish a generic docket that would allow the utilities that want to participate to weigh in or make comments about what they think is appropriate for cash working capital for the commission's consideration in the future.
Okay.
I think that would be an efficient use of resources all around.
Okay. And I think what I'm hearing you say is it could be open to utilities other than the Kiowa group.
Correct. ORS has a similar agreement with Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas regarding the same establishment of a generic proceeding for cash working capital.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. And in these discussions, will other stakeholders be aware or involved?
I can't speak to the exact details, but considering it would be a generic proceeding in front of you all, I would imagine it would be publicly filed comments. So I imagine all parties that want to participate would.
All right. Thank you very much. Any further commissioner questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd ask that this panel be allowed to stand down, and that concludes ORS's case.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else from any party?
A deadline for proposed orders, I think, might be the other item that before we all
wrap up.
We'll let council discuss that with you. And if there's nothing else, hope everyone has a good weekend, and we are adjourned. Thank you.